Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, Notre Dame fans, wherever you are watching, wherever you're listening, whatever time it is, you're watching live, watching back, listen to the podcast. Appreciate you for making a part of your day. Tim, I want to address the elephant in the room because after our post game show where Tim and I really got into it, a lot of you guys were expressing your frustration with me in the YouTube comments afterwards. And I wasn't going to talk about this. And then Tim Priester tweeted out his apology for, something that he had going on. So I just wanted to get on here and just apologize to absolutely nobody. Here's what you guys need to understand about Tim. Goolsby has said this before. He has said, Tim, sometimes you get to the point, but you don't stamp it, right? Everyone's like, how much clearer could Tim have been that he thinks CJ's the guy? Guys, I'm doing the show with him. I know, but sometimes with Tim, you need him to stamp it, because otherwise, in 2 weeks from now, Tim might say, oh yeah, of course I was saying Steve Angeli should be the starter the whole time. But now I can go back and say, no, Tim, after the blue gold game, you said it was CJ Carr. So it's locked in, it's like that's so, it's needed. I needed it stamped. And Tim, that's why. Okay. That's why I pushed you on that, because I needed it to be stamped. I feel like there's a lot of people who don't watch the show. They don't understand why I needed, Tim to just say it very extremely clearly.
I will say, Mike, you thought you were going to get destroyed in the comments, and you did.
Of course I did. It was a lot of people who I just
stayed away. I was like, I'm just going to let this thing
I just think they didn't watch the show. But you knew how I felt, because I told the people that in the comments. I'm like, with Tim, I know what he was getting at, but you need him to stamp it. I needed you to stamp it, Tim, and you did.
And after my rewatch, I am still there times 10. So
times 10, Tim.
God, yeah, even more so.
But times 10. So. Is that a precise number, or is that just a Tim Hyde random number?
Oh man,
that's another Tim Hydeism.
You know how many times I've had players like, Coach, what are you talking about? You know how many times I've said, Coach, what does 17 mean? I don't know. I just picked it out.
You do say 17 a lot.
Do I really? I just pick stuff out. But times 10 just sounds good, right? It just sounds like a good number. Good government number when they're dealing with taxes.
Well, you are a politician, Tim, so.
Times 10. Times 10.
Folks, please hit the thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel for more content. My favorite comments were just like, this is hysterical. I thought it was funny. I had fun with it. It was funny to me how many people got offended that weren't Tim and I after the show. We're just cracking up about it. We're laughing about it. We don't care. Tim and I get into it all the time. After the show, we're like, all right, that was fun. That was a great show. It's guys, it's two guys talking football. You guys get a lot more offended by things than we do. We're just chit-chatting.
Literally chatting into the YouTube void, not knowing if 6 people are watching. So who knows? We're just having fun.
Do you have your Angeli card?
Mike, I sold that for $3. I've lost money on it already. I've already lost money on it. Some kid at the card shop was like, Tim, I watched the spring game. Okay. Come on. Yeah, I'm not giving you $10. So I was like, $350, and the kid gave me $350.
You're such a troll.
I'm joking, obviously. Hey, I still have it. I'm like, come on, Steve, come on. Oh well. Let's dive into this, man. I had a great time rewatching this game.
How many times do you rewatch it? I guess you watch each play 3 or 4 times.
Actually, I did. I had a lot of fun. I said this on Saturday. I've watched every blue and gold game for a long time. I've actually been to a couple there at Notre Dame over the years, and it was just so much fun. I thought Saturday was fun. The competition was fun. We talked about it Saturday Live. We had no idea what to expect. That we're going to see Bettis catch 15 passes because he's the only wide receiver, and all these guys, and everybody played. It was awesome. Had a lot of fun. Enjoyed it. That guys got after it, even more so on the rewatch. I mean, they were hammering the football. I mean, they just went. They did a whole goal line period for crying out loud. Four plays in a row down there. So yeah, they got after it. It was a lot of
Yeah,
fun. It was great.
yeah,
It was great competition. I love. I've never been. In spring game, it's a practice, right? So I like how they did a practice instead of splitting everyone up. So you had a
yes,
true offense, a true defense, rotate within the system, within the units. All the quarterbacks had different centers, different O lines, different wide receivers. It was a good mix and match. Same thing with the defense. So
yeah,
that's why I liked it better instead of splitting everything up. And then you're like, well, what quarterback had what O line, So
right.
this one was a lot different. It was a true practice. It was a true team scrimmage, which was a lot of fun.
I agree. And yeah, I'm with you. When you split up the teams, it's first group, it's combined with second group, and I like it. First over, first D, or the remnants of, right? We all know that. So it's like first O, first D with an asterisk, right?
Yes.
Jeremiah Love is your first running back. You suited up. You didn't play, obviously. You know, the top corners barely played. So we understand that. But yeah, and then it's like, all right, let's see what all three quarterbacks can do with the second team, and and against the second team. And it was interesting. So I take more from this, Tim, than a blue gold game in years past.
Yes.
But of all of the scrimmages that I'm sure Notre Dame did during the spring, I would still say this was the most. It has to be the most watered down because it's on television. What are you really trying to show? Like, what are you trying to put on? It's on Peacock. People, I mean, Miami can sit there and rewatch it,
Oh,
till the cows come home. So there's that element of it. Like, I don't know. There's definitely things to take, but is this like how much of this are we? Is someone winning the Junior Jabby Award? Like it's a spring game. It is a spring game, so it's there. I would say the majority of fans that I come across are like had been wanting Carr. But now, based on the spring game, it is more loud than ever. And I get he did look good, but listen, the second like people want to talk about, oh, he had 2 touchdowns. The last touchdown, the cornerback was wearing number 49. No disrespect to number 49, but I mean, you think Miami has a cornerback wearing number 49 out there? So I don't know. I'm not trying to this, you know, play down Carr's performance, who's really good, but I think there's a little playing it up too much just the whole spring game.
Well, that's why the first thing I said on Saturday was, you know, I don't give a darn about the stats, who was with you. I watched them. I watched them individually. How did they play? It doesn't matter if you're throwing to an All-American tight end or the 15 string wide receiver walk on, as Carr's last touchdown pass went to. It's how did he throw the ball? How did he look? How did he step? Did he make a right decision? You could see all those things. So that's what I was looking at.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you take it away, it's the right read and an unbelievable, beautiful pass. So he wanted to do that earlier. There's a throwaway he has, second drive maybe, where he wants to throw the ball deep, and you could tell the wide receiver runs the wrong route. You can see him real quick on Peacock saying you ran the wrong damn route, so he throws it in the dirt. So that's a smart decision, and that's what I was looking for instead of and the stats, because hey, half of the yards on Saturday were dump passes to running backs who took it 25 yards. So
Mm-hmm.
those are a ton of the stats that went down there. Like, was it Minchie or Angeli? Somebody had one drive. It was back-to-back dump passes to the fullback, to Nolan James for 1 yard, and he takes it 40.
Yeah, he had a 37-yarder. Yeah,
counts as the stat. So that's why I didn't care about the stats. I wanted to watch them as quarterbacks, the decision making, how they played, how they moved, how they handled some pressure. Because I know that's been a big theme with the O-line going in and out during this spring is, people looking at that, well, they didn't have the starting O-line. I look at it as a coach is, well, who's performing? Who do you want as the quarterback? We talked about this a week ago. Who's the quarterback you want when things break down that can move, that can hold the ball a little bit more like Carr? There was an all-out blitz, and he took 2 more steps deep. Boom. hit the running back in the flat. I think that's a hell of a decision, a heck of a throw. A really good quarterback. So, those are some of the things I looked at on the second watch even more, and dove into the notes. Minchie, everyone's hyped on Minchie. The guy had 5 pass breakups. I mean, 5 times DBs had their hands on the ball. 5 times. I would say a couple of those could have easily been picked. I said the Hobbs one should have been a pick in the end zone. It's a drop. So the one to Powell on the deep bend, Powell probably could have had that. He throws it. I mean, he looked like, oh my God, Drew Pine on the one right to Bodie Cajon, just hits Bodie basically in the face. He threw it so short, so you have a handful of those, the roll from there. And Jelly, obviously, a little slow reacted on sometimes. Carr throws the interception, but that's the same thing. If it's a pass breakup, it's a pass breakup. Minnick makes a hell of an interception, just as Hobbs should have had that against Minchie. So I thought they all did good things. They all threw some great passes. Each of them had a boundary to the wide side out, which I thought was impressive.
Yeah.
Just things to look at. Each of them, boom, could throw that nice, deep stop route to the wide side, which says a lot about your arm. Minchie obviously had the really good boot, and Jelly throws a nice boot on the drag. So, it was when you break it down, so many of them did a lot of the equal things. And going back to your point about plays, I swear, Denbrock only had like 12. They called so much of the same stuff over and over again, just different formations, same type of schemes. Obviously, Carr's beautiful passes to the tight ends, but I thought the best pass was his square into Cam Williams, which was a heck of a throw. And that was third down. You chart some of those third down things, and Carr looked good. So it's going to be an interesting decision that these guys have, because you have to have it's a 2-man race. It's the 3-man thing is dead next week. It's
From what I'm hearing from you, you're more about from the game. It's talent than like results. Maybe is that maybe the right thing? It's like who shines, who pops, rather than who has the most yards or stats or.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you.
Like individual talent. You're looking at the quarterbacks just like who had the most individual talent on the game, not like
who looks the part, who threw the best, who threw the best balls, who threw some of those out routes, who threw, the square in, and Jelly threw a heck of a dart on the one whip right on the money, gets a first down. Minchie hit Eli on an all-out blitz right over the middle. Eli has a nice little run. As good as Carr played, obviously we talked about the interception on that deep bend route, and then he has the whip route to Saldate, which he missed on. That's what I'm saying. Both guys all 3 quarterbacks had some good passes and some in some bad spots at times. But overall, man, I said this Saturday in the rewatch, it's like CJ Carr. I feel like we talked about this a year ago. He literally is the closest quarterback to Clausen Quinn since those guys have left. There hasn't been a quarterback comparable to them. I think CJ Carr could get to that level as a thrower, as a quarterback, as a leader, as someone to lead Notre Dame. And going back to we talked about Saturday, is this team around him has athletes all over. So, we're going to see mistakes no matter who it is. Minchie and Jelly or Carr, they're going to throw a couple picks. They're going to take a sack. That's part of a game. I mean, we see that each and every year. I mean, Leonard threw some of the worst picks we've ever seen in our life last year. And, he got out of some things and kept things alive. So you got to go with the best talent. And I don't know how it's not. And this is my opinion. I don't know how that's not CJ Carr, because just, one last thought on this is, and then you could dive into this is, we always hear the take like, well, this is just one practice. Yeah, but I'm sure CJ Carr has done this before, behind the scenes in practices, looks good, throw some passes like that. So I don't think this is a one-time thing. of him looking sharp, throwing the darts that he did. And if he's the guy, there's a hell of a team that's going to be built around them to help him have a learning curve, which all three of these quarterbacks are going to have one. So all three of them will.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. I'll talk to one person. I try to. Obviously, I'm a reporter, so I'm trying to get some inside scoop, and it's there's so much conflicting stuff on what people around the program think is going to happen. I had somebody tell me today, they're like, "Oh yeah, I think it's going to be CJ and Kenny and Steve's the odd man out." 'Cause now we know it's going to be two, and what that looks like, and when or how the third person gets the news, I don't know. But then I still have other people think, yeah, it's Steve. Just play Steve against Miami, and if you got to pull them, get some juice. You switch out Carr. You switch him out for Carr. Or it like Tim, when you read the comments and you see what Notre Dame fans are saying, it's talking about the two. It's always it's Steve or Carr, or it's Carr and Kenny. I think we all agree there ain't no way in hell it's going to be Steve and Kenny. But it's just interesting, and I went into this at length the other night after the game. Like, man, it's just so much of preference. What do you want? What do you want, Denbrock? What do you want, Freeman? Do you want someone who you feel like you're the most comfortable with, maybe, and Steve, or do you want to I don't know if rolling the dice, it's probably not the right term, but do you want to go with the younger guy and put him out there for his first meaningful step against Miami on the road? That's what it boils down to, Tim. Any other thoughts on these QBs? I know you mentioned Steve and the route trees that he got.
Yeah, no route trees, but one thing you said there, the Steve in Miami. I talked about this a month ago when I got into. I think the Steve Angeli experience is way overkill, because this would be game one against Miami Hurricanes, an old iconic rival. I don't know if the Sun Bowl or playing against Pitt 2 years ago with the great bootleg he throws, did that prep him for this? So you play your best quarterback. And I've said this multiple times. You play the best quarterback against Miami. Who's the best quarterback to go win that game and help you go win the entire season? That's what you do. I don't think you buy this. Well, Steve's been in some fourth quarter blowouts, and he tossed the ball around teams that were down 48-7. I don't know how that experience prepares you. You play the best guy, and I think they're going to do that at multiple positions. Wherever they do that over the years. Hell, Anthony Knapp against A&M, they didn't go with the experience in Tosh Baker. They're like, we're going with the best guy that's going to help us win this game and be the best left tackle for us for the entire season. And that's what they did. And I think you have to do that at quarterback. You got to go with the best guy and just go from there. They proved last year, for crying out loud, you can lose game 2 and go to the playoffs. Not that anyone wants to lose game 1 or game 2 against Miami or A&M, but yeah.
When I mentioned the route,
life moves on. So
when I mentioned the route tree, I was talking about how you were frustrated that Steve wasn't able to rip the ball at all. That was what I was talking about.
Oh, I said this on Saturday, and it was like, it drove me nuts. He's going into his senior year. I wanted to see him throw the ball more. That was just my take. I wanted to see him throw much more. And on the
was it a Steve thing, or was it a schematic thing? Like Denbrock, they just didn't call plays for that.
More runs. It's like, they called the RPO for CJ Carr inside the 5. He throws the touchdown. They call it for Kenny Minchie. The tight end is covered. That's when he scrambles in and scores. With Angeli, he hands off five straight duos. I'm like, buddy.
Why do you think that is?
Man, I don't know. I don't know. I was frustrated for him because, number one, it's a scrimmage. You could do stupid stuff. You could do 6 double reverse passes. No one cares. It's a scrimmage, for crying out loud. But that was just me. Even coming out like right here on drive 2, they run duo inside zone, and this is what drove me nuts about Angeli real quick. It's just third and medium. So it's third, the one where they're coming out. He's coming out of his own end zone.
There's
And
the out.
he throws a 1-yard pass to Saldate in the flat. It's like, dude, it's 3rd and 6, man. He doesn't even attempt to get the first down. He just throws a 1-yard pass. That drove me nuts. So that was something that it's like, dude, you're going to be a senior and you're throwing the ball short of a first down. It's like, come on, it's 3rd down.
Nothing downfield for him.
No, nothing. And then after, hold on 2 seconds, right here, he gets a whip route to KK Smith, the nice speed out to KK, back-to-back passes. Then they do 5 straight run plays. That's the Luke Talich unblocked 2 plays in a row, makes tackles. So 5 straight run plays. That was like, come on, man.
Yeah,
let Angeli throw a little bit.
I heard. Well, that was Aeneas. That was Aeneas at the goal line, and I don't think we really saw Aeneas at the goal line much last year. So I think they maybe wanted to test Aeneas, see what he had, and running between the tackles on the goal line. So I don't know. I just wonder if they just don't really. They don't. I don't know.
I get it. It was some.
We don't need Steve to throw. They've seen him for 4 years throw. I don't know. That was my first thought about it. I don't know.
But one thing, and people are gonna love me for this because Steve only threw 3 passes past 10 yards. Only 3. And he was he only completed 1 pass, and that was a 12-yard stop route to Bettis. That's it. I mean, Steve had Carr hits those dimes to the tight end. Steve had 2 overthrows. It's two overthrows. So I'm just like, come on. That was just something in the rewatch, going over my notes from watching it live. It's both quarterbacks. It happened both sides where they threw the ball short. But obviously with Minchie, Minchie will throw the ball down farther. He will attack, as we saw with the post that got broken up down the middle of the field. And Carr, he's going to chuck it up and let his wide receivers go make some plays at times as well. So that was just another little thing, which with Steve, we know Steve is the king of. Hey, Jason Garrett called him check down Steve for crying. I heard that on Peacock. I was like, ooh, boy. Hopefully
check
that
down Charlie.
Check down Charlie. There you go. Check down Charlie. And I was like, whoa, man, that's you don't want that on the
backhanded. Resume. It's a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, that's not a resume builder. So that's why I went back and I looked at the passes, and Angeli, 1 for 3 on passes past 10 yards. So everything else, he's Angeli. He's solid underneath. Underneath. But you're right. One thing you said Saturday, Mike, is.
Oh, really? I said something right?
I said it's not right, but I'm giving you kudos because, that's the other, you hear this.
Oh, so you said it's right and now you said it's not. Or you said it wasn't right and now you're saying it's right. I want to hear this.
Just being nice, I guess. I'm being nice.
Okay, yeah.
Even going to Tyler Horka, where it's like, it's a hard decision. I don't, how the hell is it a hard decision? I mean, you play the guy. About? You play the guy who's got the best talent.
Yeah.
And I think it's noticeable, and I don't think that's a bad thing if it is CJ Carr. The fans have been wanting it, and they see it, and when they have seen it, it's exciting, and it's like, man, what can we do with this guy over time as he keeps evolving and getting better, and it's the same thing with obviously with Brady Quinn got better and better, Clausen got better, Paulus had all the hype. Rick Meyer had all the hype. Those are all sophomore starters. And I think sometimes it's okay to go with those guys.
Okay. Tim, I haven't coached football at the level of you have, so I'm not trying to, I'm legitimately asking you a question here for someone with the experience that you have. So if let's say Carr is just simply the better talent, right? But how much of a factor would you say is this is your very first action really in college, and you're playing at Miami? Like how much of that is it versus Steve, who I understand, Tim, that a good majority of his reps has been in fourth quarter games, but just that elder statesman, he's been around whatever you want to play that. I've talked about, man, like what's Angeli's outlook without that Penn State drive? Like, so I'm there. How much of a factor is that? Like, without that, like, is this probably isn't even a conversation between the two in your mind, but with that, how much does that even the playing field or anything? I'm just curious for your thoughts as a coach.
No, I mean, you're definitely gonna think of it. Yeah, man, you just play the best guy, and Jelly got the play because, I mean, let's be honest, he was the only quarterback, right? He had two guys leave. Someone had to be the backup, and it was him 2 years ago. But someone had to do that. Last year, Minchie probably had his shots to be number 2. He wasn't. So there's Steve getting those reps last year. But you play the best guy. So I will say those things are probably thought about, but at the same time, is that guy who's been in the fourth quarter, games that Angeli's been in, are those? Is that that experience that much more than the talent that CJ or Kenny, but more CJ does that outweigh the talent that he has throwing the football?
That's exactly what I just asked you. That was
at the end of the day, the ability to throw the football, the ability to process the information and make decisions. It just goes back to CJ Carr has it over Angeli, so I don't know where that experience, plays in. He was in there in the moment. He had a couple nice passes. He let them down. They got the couple first downs. They kicked the field goal against Penn State. But does that override the better quarterback for the system?
Right. I guess it is. So there's the talent. There's just your raw talent versus being able. I think you put it perfectly. Like, be able to process that in that kind of environment, which is just something it's the unknown with CJ. You just don't know until you try it. So that's why there's just I don't know if risk is the right word, but it's at least somewhat of a gamble when you put someone out there. Just Buckner, when you go to Buckner, like, he played a ton his freshman year, so going into Ohio State, but still, even that was like, it's a huge first game. So that's why I was just curious, because I think you finally got there. That's kind of the thing. It's like, how much, like, can you process that in the moment? Like you brought up CJ's high school film versus Steve's. The competition in Michigan that CJ was playing versus the Big Six Catholic in New Jersey, Garden State ball was a little bit more big time, in my opinion.
Exactly, but I'm bringing up the film as watching the quarterback play. I just keep going back to him on film. His ability to play quarterback is just really good. And I don't, and I know Notre Dame fans, everyone's got their camp and all that. And it's just like, I'm just watching the film. And I just see a guy that is really damn good. Notre Dame has not had a quarterback that could throw, basically have the guts, I guess. I mean, CJ has some guts, the way he'll manage and throw and think, since Clausen. I mean, just look at the quarterback since then, right? I'm just talking about it as a thrower, as a guy that could throw. He's athletic enough to get on the move on the outside in the perimeter and make some plays. So he was just damn impressive on Saturday. He just was. Yeah. And if Tyler and Jack were on the show tonight, they would, I don't know if you're doing a show with those guys tomorrow night, but it's like, they've seen him throwing in practice. They've seen scrimmages as well. They've seen some, since he's been here, and there's just never been a bad report of him looking like crap in practice. There just hasn't been.
All right,
over time, that's got to matter. And at the same time, you've got to have your first. And I know it's Miami, but hell, I think back to Rick Meyer. His first game, it was at home, but he's playing top 5 Michigan and they win. There's moments where you have to play the game eventually. So go out and do it.
All right, before we move on, I got to address a couple comments.
Go for it.
One, I still think that there is an overreaction based on reading YouTube comments. I do 3 shows a week. I read every single YouTube comment after the fact, right? I run a message board. It's like 30% of my job or something is just staring at message board comments. I know what the Notre Dame community is saying. And you had your Angeli camp, your Minchie camp, your Carr camp. Now it is just Carr from a spring game. Could he start against Miami? Could he be the best guy? Sure. But from the spring game, all of this, it's a little over. And then there's this. Singer's the last person lobbying for Angeli. How the hell am I lobbying for Angeli? What am I saying? Tim is lobbying. I don't think lobbying is the right word for Carr. I haven't lobbied for anyone. What have I said that's lobbying for Angeli? Hell, I had comments on I did some YouTube content with Jack after the game. They're like, "Oh, you guys are hyping up Minchie," so now I'm the Minchie guy, right? So there you go. Mike Singer's the Kenny Minchie guy according to YouTube comments. So you guys are, I don't know what world you guys are living in that I'm just sitting here. When did I say Steve should start against Miami? Certainly not since spring ball started. Maybe I said before.
I'll say. I mean, you're definitely not lobbying, and
I don't know. I really think you can make a case for any of the 3. Any of the 3.
I don't think you can, but that's
I do.
See, that's I guess then I'm the lone wolf because I don't.
You're definitely not the lone wolf, Tim. That's for sure.
I don't think, and that's the other thing. This is what I love from the Notre Dame media is this constant drumbeat of, well,
you're in the Notre Dame media now.
Yeah, but I'm really not. I'm just some slap raising kids doing what I do, and I talk to you a few times. So, definitely. But this constant drumbeat of, well, you could win with all 3. Sure, you can, but what are you going to win, right? The goal at Notre Dame for guys that have been around a long time is we want to see them hold up the damn trophy. I don't think you could do that with all 3 of these, and that's the goal. So you're in year 4. Had some, you got your, couple losses, couple nice little bowl wins. The world's over with after NIU, and the program rallies beyond belief. And they got to the title, they tasted it, and this is why I'm so damn excited. And is that the amount of talent on that field Saturday is just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a dozen kids coming in the summer because some of the freshmen. I'm watching the freshmen on Saturday. I'm like, these dudes could play. They could start down the road. Me, I'm always talking about it as your junior year, and they're going to be freaking good. The commits they're getting in 26 are like, I mean, he's loading up to have his best class. So the amount of talent's coming down the pike, and it's just like, just keep playing your guy. So this comment of, well, you could win with all 3. Hell yeah, you could win. Hell, Drew Pine went 8-2 for crying out loud. So yes, any of these quarterbacks could win games. What in the world do you want to win? And I think, me personally, as you mentioned, high school film, just whatever highlights we've seen of them in college, you could say it's just a spring game, but it's the way people play.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one quarterback that's just really, really good who could take Notre Dame over the hump in the next few years. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Respect your opinion, Tim. But yeah, like you can go the Carr route, totally would get that. You can go the Angeli route against Miami. I would totally get that. The Minchie one, I would get, like, let's go with the Minchie experiment. I wouldn't get that one as much as the other 2. But, if there's something about like, hey, that's just Denbrock's kind of quarterback, like he wants to roll with it, I can understand that. I'm a pretty understanding guy. I like to think.
One last thing on Minchie is, we've heard this drumbeat over the last 2 years. Well, we're finally, we really want to see what Gino could do because he's had back-to-back transfers. I'll tell you what, no one in this football program has improved as much as Kenny Minchie. It feels like from where we saw him to now to where we're talking about. If he's out there against Miami, you could do such and such with the offense. You don't get to that point with that young man. He has talent, obviously, really good quarterback coming to Notre Dame. But I just want to give a shout out to Coach Gino, where that dude's put in the work coaching him, because Kenny Minchie is a completely different dude than when he stepped on campus, and it's noticeable. So
I like that.
he could coach. He could coach, because Kenny's a damn good looking quarterback.
One more quick thing before we move on. Tex ND said Carr is definitely the fan base consensus QB1 at this point. Yes. But when I saw that comment, I was like, the staff. I may have touched on this Saturday, Tim. I don't think anything that the staff saw Saturday is going to change their opinion on who they think it should be. But the one thing I feel like that could change is the external pressure. All right, so if it's like close between Carr and Minchie or Carr and Angeli, and they're like, man, we could go either way on this, but man, the fans are really pushing for Carr. I think there could be. I think the external pressure, I don't know, outside noise, from the fans. I think that could potentially play a factor, or do you think not at all, Tim?
Yeah, you mentioned this on Saturday, and I don't think that would put. I mean, they'd be fools to take a poll and go with the poll. Not that they're going to do that, but I'm sure they hear the noise. I'm sure they see it on campus when Marcus Freeman's walking a recruit around.
They're people. They do care.
They're people. I mean, they're on Twitter. They say they're not, but they want to see what's up there. They're looking for the hyped up clips that are out there. Or who's the On3 guy? He's Fawcett, who's always posting 15,000 3D images into one, so everyone wants to look at his photos. Yeah, I mean, they see all that stuff, but yeah, but you're going to be a fool to follow the fans' advice. So,
right. One more thing, actually. Wait, Tim, you subscribe to our magazine, right? You get our magazine?
Every week in the season, every month in the off season.
Wait till you see this cover, and if the title is what I suggested, you'll know. You'll see it, and you'll be like, "Oh my gosh, that was from Singer," and it might be the kid's last name might rhyme with Barr. Okay, that's who I suggested go on this cover, and just wait till you see the little, the main text on it.
Well, you love quarterbacks on covers, so
I do.
I know. I told you. I was mad. I wanted Joe Alt on the cover, and you guys put Sam Hartman, so still mad about that.
Listen, I know I keep saying one more thing about the quarterbacks, and I keep going on. I get I'm the Angeli guy. Like, for a while, it was like a meme, oh, peanut butter Angeli, and oh, here's Singer's guy, and now, I don't really. It was fun when he was a backup. Now I tried to kind of distance myself from I'm the Steve Angeli fanboy. I'm just trying to give you guys my honest opinion on it. The Carr thing, you guys gotta understand. CJ Carr is one of my favorite recruits to cover of all time. That was like the best, nicest kid. Like one of the best interviews. Loved going. I saw him play twice in high school. Drove up to Knoxville to see him play in a 7-on-7 tournament. Awesome family. Tammy, Jason, younger brother like Tommy, like such a good family. And Kenny, I didn't get to know Kenny as well on the recruiting front. It was a quick turnaround, but great kid. I interviewed Kenny once, and it was right before he announced his commitment, and I really enjoyed talking to Kenny. So I mean, I like all three of the kids. They're all awesome. Tim, let's talk about Augie's locker room. I know our buddy Mark with glasses was he sent me a picture. He was at Augie's. So I hope a lot of you, when you made it to South Bend for the Blue Gold game, stopped in at Augie's locker room and made some purchases. And I hope you said that Mike Singer from Blue and Gold sent you. If you can't go until the fall, I get it. But if you do, make sure if you make it to town, you got to make sure you stop in at Augie's locker room and check out their wide selection of Notre Dame Stadium pieces, jerseys, helmets, autographs, and one-of-a-kind Rock-Me items. You can find Joe Montana exclusive signed items and famous sculptor Jerry McKenna's replicas of the bronze statues around the stadium. And Augie gets new stuff in all the time. You can see his online store at augieslockerroom.com/shop, or you can see even more in the shop, such as famous sculptor Jerry McKenna's replicas of the bronze statues around the stadium. You got, like I said, the Joe Montana signed items and the vintage helmet display dating back to 1890. He's got some amazing stuff, folks. You're going to want to check it out. augieslockerroom.com. 574-277-6363. I think to do like a 10-second wrap up of the quarterback conversation, Tim says, I've seen enough. It's Carr. I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel super strongly. If I were the coach, I would probably lean Angeli. I really think it's a preference thing, and my preference would be a little bit more conservative. But that's just me. I would run with Steve, but that's just me. So there you go. Tim, freshman. What freshman stood out in your what freshman stood out in your rewatch?
When I go freshman is obvious, as I told you, I even go the redshirt freshman because those are the forgotten souls, from a year ago. The obviously, we mentioned on Saturday, Carson Hobbs was, absolutely unbelievable. Huge shout out to Styles Prescott. He really, really played good. Some big run blocks, looked the part, pass blocking. Super impressed. I've been nervous. I'm not going to lie about who the heck's replacing some of these, linemen as backups, right? Who is your core that you could trust in there? And I think Styles is showing out like, don't forget about me, because obviously then we go to the true freshman, which is Maddie Augustine. I did not expect to see what I saw. I mean, skinny as could be.
Right.
I'm sure he's slamming meatballs and spaghetti like crazy to gain weight. That is the skinniest 290 pounder because he's massive out there. Long arms. He had one run block just pops out where he's blocking away on a zone away. He scoops Sean Seviano in the A gap. So he's going from right tackle to center and scooping Sean. That's how quick he was compared to Sean. And I was like, wow, that is so damn impressive for an offensive tackle. Really lights out. There's one play going back to CJ Carr. He wants to throw a boundary fade. He wants to throw the fade. The wide receiver is just getting thrown into the buckets over there, and it's Cree Thomas. I don't even know who the wide receiver was. Cree Thomas is just beating the living hell out of this guy, throws him into the buckets over there, go get some free Gatorade. And I was like, wow, that was super impressive. So, oh my God, Mike, I got like 300 names in my head. Cam Herron. I mentioned Cam Herron. He definitely looked the part. Very, very impressed with him. I know you and I talked about him. We wanted that offer just because of the way he played, the way he wanted to be at Notre Dame. Man, he played that game like it was a state championship. He got after it on Saturday, and that was great to see. He got beat a few times. Yeah, he should. The guy should be at the prom. But there's a couple blocks he lays out on a couple of the big interior guys, and I'm like, yeah, that guy could play someday inside. So very impressed with him. Keith on Young. I mean, Young's a bulldozer. You know me, I love backs that could cut, man. He's got one. He gets tripped up a hair, or he's breaking that thing, just breaking it. And then there's one cutback. It's like, damn it! See, I just yelling, see the cutback lane, and he could cut. He reminded me of Estime as a sophomore, and then by his junior, Audric started to make some cuts, and you can see that with Kedron is definitely going to hit that down the road. One guy that I will say, man, I'm going to give kudos to some our esteemed reporters, because you've always heard that, and even Mike Singer has said he's learning. Let him learn. He's raw. Cam Williams, definitely. Cam Williams looks like that guy that just keeps learning almost every step he takes. You could just see it out there. And then he comes back and makes the great, square in catch. So he looks the part. He's got unbelievable burst and explosiveness. And it's like, dude, when it all comes together, that guy's gonna blow up someday. I just have a feeling. Really, really excited.
You just have to be patient. Not everyone's development journey is the same. Like Elijah Burris is coming in. He could play as a true freshman. Cam Williams might take a year or two, but like he still could be better than Burris, even though Burris might be playing earlier. Like it's not everyone's on the same path.
Yeah, and you could it's funny because I really watching the film was like I thought of that, the reports on Cam, and it's like, damn it, just throw it to him. You know how you get impatient, and it's like, man, he's fast, but you could see that, and you could also see some of the rawness still of just teaching him the position. It was noticeable out there, I felt. But then when he gets the ball in his hands, you're like, yeah, this guy's going to take off down the road, be very excited about him. I'm sure there's a handful more, but nothing's who else? Who else? Any other
Burris
guys?
definitely looked good.
Yes,
If we're
even
talking about
Bettis. Even Bettis competed out there.
Tim, all three of
Solid.
those young guys,
I
all
mean,
three of them.
seriously, that's a group that's like they're not needed this year. Learn on the scout team and
Tim,
we'll see you next year. We'll
do you
see
remember
you
who the comp I gave to Bettis was?
Oh boy, no. It's like your movie takes, Mike. I don't know. I plead the fifth.
Colsey. Dion Colsey. Dion
Okay.
Colsey is the comp for Jerome Bettis, which, again, I've said this before. If Dion Colsey doesn't get hurt, who knows? But he just got hurt and just got buried.
His injuries, yeah.
Yeah, injuries. But, like, Bettis definitely looks the part already. I was very pleased with that. It's like, oh, maybe he's a safety in college. He looked good at receiver. Scrap looked like he knew what he was doing at wide receiver. Just started playing it a month ago.
Yeah.
And then Burris looked good as we would have expected. If we're including the 2024 guys, Larson, limited ceiling in terms of he's not Mike Mayer. He's not Cole Kmet, but Larson flashed. It's good to see Ballman. Defensively, who else, Tim? We got to move on.
Yeah. Real quick, Peter Jones. There's a couple notes I have where I literally highlight Peter and Styles together, passing off some twists, and I was like, man, that is nice. That is nice. Those two guys working together. So Peter Jones looked the part. So, it's just those young guys. Either it's wide receiver, O line, whatever you're a corner. It's like just getting your feet wet, getting that first blue and gold game, that big exposure, the amount of reps that they had. Strebig, it's Kyle Kelly was like, hey, what do you think of Owen? He is probably the rawest one because you got to break some habits. He likes to lean because the dude's like 7'5" out there. His arms are we always hear about the 34-inch arms. His has got to be 39, 40. They're just boom, where they're out there. So he likes to lean. But Mike, there is one duo where he's down blocking. He absolutely kills Bodie Cajon. Just like, yeah, boom. Where Bodie's like, he's shook up like, man, I don't think I've ever been blocked like that. He just gets annihilated. So that was exciting. So it's fun, to just see so many of these young guys really step up and start to, make some plays out there.
I apologize if I haven't mentioned this. The show's on Monday tonight because I'm traveling this week. I'm going to Texas, see family, but also work. So I'm seeing a few top recruits for Notre Dame in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then the six-pack show with Tyler and Jack is going to be Thursday this week. And then the recruiting show will be Friday morning. I had to move things around because of all the travel. So I wanted to throw that out there real quick. And I'll put that on social media as well. Tim, I'm exhausted, dude. It's been a long freaking day.
Long weekend.
Tim, it's been. Hold on. Let me pull this up.
What's the recruiting?
1, 2,
it feels like
3.
There's 16 new visits every day.
Yeah. So it's been 4 commitments in 9 days, including, 2 in as many days. So we had a commitment today and a commitment yesterday, and it's just a ton of work and content. Sorry, I'm struggling. I might need a 9 o'clock coffee, but Tim, the run here for this class going from the rankings are the rankings, but
Sure.
It's still nice to go from the outside the top 10 to number 5, in the span of a week. You land a 5-star in Rodney Dunham, Ebenezer Uwatade, Gregory Patrick, who I know you're excited about, and then. I mean, if Bubba Frazier ends up a 3-star, I think that's a shame. I think it's because he's just if Jack Larson is limited ceiling because he's just a specific kind of tight end. If we're limiting Bubba Frazier because he's a very specific type of wide receiver, he's not going to go, catch jump balls over DB like he can only play in the slot. That who cares? Dude, Bubba Frazier runs a 4.43 laser time. That alone should get him a lot of brownie points. And then you watch his film. It only takes a minute of film to be like, okay, he also can play receiver. He's bossing people too.
Yeah.
So maybe you can throw jump balls up to him like Bubba Frazier means. I mean, so 73% blue chip percent ratio right now, Tim.
Real quick. Just go to the bottom. just look at the bottom two in this class are two of the fastest dudes out there. Faison is fast. That dude could run. Frazier, I know we did a commit video on him, but you just watch his film and you're like, that's a blue chip film. That's a guy that could play. And there's a lot of Bubba Fraziers in the NFL. That's the other thing. Not everyone's 6'5" and looks like Julio Jones. There's a lot of Bubbas in the NFL. So just seeing those bottom two down there is like, fast, speed up wide receiver. And they keep, one guy we lose track is the corner. The corner. I remember when you started telling me about him. I watched his film and I'm like, I know the first comment I gave to you was like, that's a Clemson corner, is in aggressive, nasty, get up in your face for 60 minutes, play high end defensive football. So love that guy. I mean, this is a great class. There's a handful more out there that are favored to go to Notre Dame. So this, at the end of the day, man, there's some big fish out there. I know they're still going after, but I mean, this, I don't know how in the heck this thing does not end up being Marcus Freeman's best class since he's been there, right? I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, we know how, recruit, so-and-so, may only have 6 commits or whatever, but Notre Dame only has, what do they have, 8 or 9 now?
They have 11. And
it is that many. Gosh, see, they're slamming so many, I'm getting lost. But
yeah.
they're blue chip. They're like top 5 in blue chip, I saw. I know SC's number 1, but SC's like 15 when it comes to player rating. I was scanning this the other day.
Yeah.
SC's getting all the hype. Notre Dame and so many others blow them away when it comes just the player rating for the guys.
So, yeah, USC has a blue chip percent of 55 right now. Yeah. And their average rating is 90.6 for the recruits, and Notre Dame's is 90.7. So, 90.06, and Notre Dame's 90.74. So Notre Dame's 10th tied for 10th in the country in terms of most commits. So.
And more on the way, and the running back. How are they going to choose a running back? Because there's the 5 that are still out there, 4 or 5 that are still out there are unbelievable. They're all unbelievable. So when I say pick one, I think they're going to take 2. So
correct.
That's what I meant. Like, how are they going to pick 2? I mean, obviously he's got a lot of hype, but even the other guys that have all visited, you can talk about them, and you and Kyle will dive into that Friday. But how are they going to? The running backs they got to pick is crazy. Or the ones they have to say no to. How's that? It's let's
get to that point before we.
Oh no, I hear.
I'm jaded.
I'm not saying all 5 are saying they want to come, but still,
if they'll take any of them, man. Like
that's what I'm saying.
Bonner would be great. Brian Bonner would be great. Jonas Walden would be great. DeSeven Walker. I mean, I know you want to see Bonner, but. It does look like Javian Osborne, who I have popped up on the screen, is trending Irish.
That guy, he's loving the Twitter battle between Michigan right now. This is
he's going to Michigan this weekend. Michigan gets the last visit before his May 3rd commitment date, but I'm liking where the Irish are at. So if you just look at Tim, this is the prediction page. So Wilfong picked Tiki Hall to Notre Dame today. Hall is a big interior defense lineman from Texas. A bunch of us have picked Nick Reddish. We like Nick Reddish to Notre Dame, who was hurt as a junior, but really good sophomore film. Wilfong picked Evan Jacobson, who Notre Dame absolutely loves this kid.
He's unbelievable, Mike. Seriously, he's him and who's not the Illinois.
They're all the same, dude.
Anderson.
Sutter, JC.
No,
JC
not
Anderson.
Sutter. He's really showing nothing to Notre Dame, right? It's Anderson, right? Anderson's got they're both 6'7", arms for days, and just like they moss everybody. I mean, if they had those 2 tight ends, I was telling Kyle
I don't think they'll get JC right now. We'll see.
But if those are the 2, I was comparing them to the 17 class when they had Wright and Komet.
Okay.
Yeah, those 2 tight ends are good. I know everyone likes Premer, but it's Kansas. You never know with those Kansas guys.
Yeah. Braden Robinson. So we talked about this recently. You could have three sub 6 foot guys in the class with Faison 5'11", Frazier 5'10", Robinson 5'8", but
And all
three
fast.
speedsters. I mean, Braden Robinson is like ridiculous. Let
No,
me pull up.
his film and Bubba's film. You don't know who's who. They're
So
so
Bubba's fast, right? 10.69
Mhm.
is his 100-meter time, and he ran a 4.43 laser. Braden Robinson is a 10.44 with 15 touchdowns as a junior.
Mike, I watched his film recently, and that's why I was like, him and Bubba, you can't tell the difference. They are so fast. They get that ball in the open field. It's like you're just chasing.
Yeah.
Chasing
Tank King, a linebacker from Texas. I like Notre Dame. I don't love Notre Dame for him. Just scrolling through other predictions. Thought
Oh my God,
Osborne.
Clapper. I've always been a Clapper fan out of
Yeah,
Ohio.
yeah. I picked Jacoby Clapper to Notre Dame. I think the linebacker class is going to be
like
TJ Davis, Kobe Clapper, and Tank King. I got King and Clapper recently predicted to Notre Dame as of this month. But I like the Clapper pick a lot. As I somewhat like the King pick. I like it. I picked it, but it's not with the most confidence. So I'm just scrolling down. I think that's about it. I mean, obviously Caden Finley picked not too long ago. That would cap off. I mean, I would argue that Caden Finley's most important target left on the board.
he's a good wide receiver. I watched his film, got into him a couple weeks ago, and I was like, yeah, I can see why.
And then
is
Joey O'Brien. Tim, I was talking to somebody recently about O'Brien. It might have been Steve Wilfong on the phone. And I said, man, Joey O'Brien's recruitment kind of gives me Derek Meadows vibes.
He's at Oregon. He's at Oregon this weekend.
Meadows, Notre Dame offered him so early, and he was visiting Notre Dame a ton. And I'll say it. Meadows was a silent commitment to Notre Dame, like silent commitment. Like, oh, yeah, he told Notre Dame, like, yeah, I'm going to come here. Yeah, this is my place. And people, like, take that as a silent commitment. So then in the fall of 2023. Yeah. Like, again, silent commitments, just that's a whole different discussion for today. But anyways, Notre Dame was in on Meadows super early. He was visiting all the time, and then he starts to blow up, and then he's taking all these visits, and it was like, oh man, NIL starts to get talked about. With O'Brien, it's similar in the sense that Notre Dame got on him very early, and then he blows up. He's just dominating on the 7-on-7 circuit. Now, in terms of NIL, I don't know how important that is to O'Brien. And, maybe someone could tell me, hey, it wasn't to Meadows. I don't know. I'm just telling you that, in trying to report on Derek Meadows, that was always discussed from, like, hey, LSU made this move, whatever. But I have no idea with Joey O'Brien. But I think this one is going to have a different outcome. I really do feel like Joey O'Brien's going to end up at Notre Dame. I'm just going to leave it at that. Sources are very excited here.
Yeah, I mean, Meadows blew up out of nowhere, jumping over people during the 7-on-7 circuit. Yeah. O'Brien every weekend, is Kyle Hamilton in 7-on-7. His spring has been freakish out there in all these tournaments. He's just owning them. So super, super talented. It's funny. I was like, when I heard about him a while ago, I was like, yeah, I'll watch this film a little bit, but then got into it maybe a month or so ago. I started to rewatch, and it was just
he's a corner, Tim.
He can play anything, Mike. He's a safety, corner, wide receiver. He can play anything. He's super talented. Because I was like, why is he an athlete? Oh, that's why. Because he could take a back shoulder and take it to the house. He could play any position.
He could play wide receiver 100% in college, but he is more special
at safety.
Man, at safety, you play like if he really can move and he has that agility and change of direction at corner, and he's 6'4".
Oh God, yeah.
You lock down half the field. Yeah, good luck throwing a jump ball to Joey O'Brien, who's 6'4" and has legit receiver skills. Like, he is housing those.
Well, that's the thing. All these 7-on-7, these little clips that have been posted, it's him just robbing the middle.
Tim, do you see this? Like, look at this neighbor. I love that how this is stadiums it's in a neighborhood. That is so cool.
That's funny. That's funny you say that. I actually noticed that a lot. Coaching. I've been in so many spots and oddball stadiums. I always notice those every now and then. You see the cars driving in the back. It's just down a random street. I love it.
Yeah,
He
if I had
looks
to,
special.
if you had to say like Mike, who are the top 5 most important targets left on the board,
Oh wow.
maybe this is an article coming to you. I'd put O'Brien there. I would put Finley there. I might honestly put Evan Jacobson, that tight end we just talked about.
Love that
And
guy.
this is not Mike Singer pulling this out of his butt either. Like this is, hey, I talked to some people, so maybe this isn't just me who's thinking this. Wink, wink. At least on those 3. Now for the rounded out, I know Grayson McHugh, the Penn State, or excuse me, maybe call him a Penn State lean right now, but he's visiting Notre Dame this week. Fighting Irish are absolutely fired up about him. And then there's got to be a defensive lineman, maybe like Elijah, maybe Tiki Hola. Notre Dame really wants to freaking close on Tiki Hola.
He's solid interior, but you got to get one more end just to get some ends. Just keep replenishing that. I know they got the 2 Carolina guys, but some of those guys still on film are super, super talented.
Yeah.
Really, really talented football players. And they just had another North Carolina. I mean, Mike, is their class going to be like 14 North Carolina guys?
It's a lot.
The guy Clark, by the way, looks like Vince Wilfork in the photos I saw this weekend.
Huge.
It's huge.
He's listed at. Hold on, let me pull him up.
But I mean, seriously, right? I mean, they could have like 8 Carolina guys. It's ridiculous.
All right, so he's listed at 6'4", 320. Do you want to know what he? You want to know what he's? You know what he checked in at?
Oh, he likes. Yeah, he's he's 2 biscuits shy about what 350 or. He's a big dude.
Hold on. 6'4" and 6/8, 352 pounds.
Yeah,
so he is a hair shy of 6'5", 352. Notre Dame does not Big Sean. Love Big Sean. No one is like Noah Clark on Notre Dame's roster right now.
Yeah, that's the Georgia D tackles they've had for the last 8 years with Kirby. They all look like him. I'm gonna just sit in the A gap and just hang out for a little bit.
Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video if you have not done so yet. Subscribe if you're new here. Somehow, if you're new here. You know what's crazy, Tim? We did our show last Tuesday. I was wearing that blue polo and you were wearing that hoodie.
Yes.
And then there's 3 commits in the past few days. Rodney Dunham, Gregory Patrick, Bubba Frazier. Tim, this is just a coincidence we were wearing the same outfits for all of those videos. Wait, no. We did that on Wednesday. We recorded those on Wednesday.
So
that's right.
Outfits.
Never mind. Singer messed that up. I forgot. But yeah, we recorded those all on Wednesday last week. And I thought Patrick was going to commit. We knew Dunham obviously was going to commit. Thought Patrick would, and then Frazier, I was like 80% sure he was going to commit on Monday. So maybe Tim and I have some more. We have more commitment videos to record soon. Who knows? Who knows?
Same outfit. I gotta start bringing a change of clothes when we do those. People off.
No, I like it. I like when people pick up on it. I just now remembered that we did not record those videos on Tuesday. We were going to, and then I said, no, Tim, I'm not recording 3 videos at 9 o'clock at night. We did it at like 6 o'clock at night. So anyways, Sergio says, what are you recording tonight? I don't know. We'll just have to see. Nothing, actually. I am going. I gotta head out of here. So Tim, great show tonight. Folks, really appreciate you tuning in. If you disagree with me, if you agree with me, or most likely you disagree with me, but hey, we're respectful, respect each other's takes. It's all in fun. And Tim and I are, we're going to therapy. We're okay. I'm joking. All right, folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. And as always, we will catch you next time, next live show Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern.